In this video, we will walk through how to use the Mail and Deploy Hub for generating and sharing reports efficiently. The Mail and Deploy Hub offers a self-service model, allowing users to request reports without requiring a Qlik license. We begin by looking at the Management Console and the Hub, logged in as the root admin. In an incognito window, we can also log into the Hub as a standard user. Here is the model where the data for the reports originates, and we also have a supporting app that fetches data from an Excel file with 2 columns. In the Data Source menu, we are connecting to the Qlik Cloud. Here we have 2 connections, one to the main app called Executive Dashboard and one to the supporting app. Now let's start by preparing a sample report. It's quite simple, just a cover page of a sales analysis report designed for 1 or more sales reps and 1 month and year. We can then filter the corresponding fields in the preparation actions of the report. And we can add some default values to the parameters so that we can see a preview. Here we can see the sample report for Amalia Craig. Now let's take a closer look at the Hub. The main benefit of using the Hub is its self-service nature, enabling users to access reports without a Qlik license. This means we can send a link to people outside the organization, and they will be able to easily request a report. The first step is to create users in Mail and Deploy and ensure they have credentials. We can also connect to Azure AD and synchronize users from there. Our goal now is to allow certain users to request this report from the Hub. Let's continue with the parameters. In the Hub, we can see these parameters, which are pre-populated to avoid typos. To achieve this, we need to set up value tables in our workspace. We have 3 parameters to populate: sales rep, year, and month. For example, here we have the sales reps table, which accesses the value field sales rep name. While the name of the value table is also sales rep name, it's not mandatory for them to have the same name. The data source we are using is our Executive Dashboard, and in this example, we are not matching the user. Then it is important to click the Reload button, and here we can see the values that Mail and Deploy fetched from our data source. The same applies to the month and year tables. Now, let's head to the designer and open the properties for our parameters, starting with the month parameter. The type is by default text field, but when we check this option, we can see that it is a standard input field where users can enter anything. To prevent this, we'll populate the field with values, and a drop-down field type is the best choice. Now we can change the source from custom, which allows us to manually add each option to a value table. Then we can select our month value table For the sales rep, the drop-down options do not make as much sense as there are 120 different sales reps. Instead, we'll choose the browsable field type. This allows us to scroll through the options or search for the correct one. We can also check the box to allow multiple values, revealing a plus icon next to the compass, where we can select multiple sales reps. With this hidden field, it is possible to hide certain parameters. For instance, we could have a flag called Flag Hub, with a value of 1, indicating that the entity requesting the report is the hub. The end user doesn't need to see this information, so we can hide it, but mail and deploy will still receive the flag parameter with the value 1. In this case, we do not need a flag, just the month, sales rep, and year. If we want to change the order of the parameters to year, month, and then sales rep, we can add a display index to each of the parameters, a 0 for year, a 1 for month, and a 2 for sales rep. Let's test it now. We can select Amalia Craig, choose 2016, and the 5th month. Then we want to add the report to our library. And here it is. Now let's look at how we set up Amalia Craig's access to the hub. By default, a standard user has no access to anything. The admin account, on the other hand, has access to everything. And in the authorization section, we can give permissions to a group. This group here includes some of our sales reps. We already have 3 reports that the user group sales reps is allowed to request. To create an authorization, we simply click the button at the bottom left, select Report Authorization, then choose the report and the user group. Finally, we add the request and subscribe permissions. Here is the report authorization we just created with permissions set. Next, let's explore the library. By default, the users do not have access to the library, so we need to allow it in the Authorizations menu. To do that, we click Create Authorization, then Workspace Authorization. And then we can choose View Library in the permissions. Let's also add Execute Tasks and use Alerting. Then we once again select our user group. And now we can see the alerts pop up in the sidebar. These authorizations only apply to this workspace. If we were to switch the workspace as Amalia, we can see that the alerts, for example, are gone. Now let's continue with another example. In this report, requester Amalia could request reports for all of these sales reps, which might not be ideal. She should only be able to see her data. We can achieve this using a value table. This time, we do want to use the user matching function, as we want the user that logged in to be considered. We can call the value table account and the field that we are working with, in this case, sales rep name. In the supporting app, we have a table that has 2 columns. Firstly, the account, so the person that will log into the hub. And then, for example, if Amalia logs in, she would be able to request reports for these sales reps, since she is their team leader. Amanda Honda, however, will only be allowed to request her own report and no one else's. Let's look at how the value table is configured. Firstly, the data source is now our supporting app. Then we select Custom Username in the User Matching mode, as all of our users have custom credentials. The user field name is the account, and the value field name is sales rep once again. After reloading it, we can see the exact same values as the ones in our app. Now let's continue to the designer. The value tables for the month and the year remain the same as in the previous example. However, the value table for the sales reps is the new one we just configured. Naming it account-something Makes sense here as we are able to easily identify the table we want, and we then know that mail and deploy will take the account into consideration when presenting it with their corresponding sales reps. Now let's try it out. We are logged in as Amelia Craig, who is a team leader, so she has access to multiple sales rep reports. Let's also see how it would look like logged in as Amanda Honda. Here we can see she only has access to her own report. We also notice that the hub looked different when logged in as Amanda Honda compared to Amelia Craig. This is because Amelia Craig has the theme set to Theme 1 in her user settings, while Amanda Honda is using the default theme. Let's continue with the next example using a query value table. In this report, the month and the year are the same. However, we now have a different parameter. It's called username. We first change the type to drop down and define the source as username. Now mail and deploy will provide the information of the user that is logged in. This means that the report knows who requested the report in the hub. That's why we also need to check the hidden box. The report is also a bit different in this example. We have some extra information. We are displaying the username, the sales rep, and also the sales reps from the value table. In the preparation actions of the report, the fiscal year and month are filtered using the parameter as usual. This time for the sales rep, we have a concatenation, as there could be more than one. This is because back in the preparation actions, we filter the field with the instruction, Query Value Table. Then we add the value table we are using, in this case, account-sales rep name. The second parameter defines which username we want to use, and here we will use the report parameter. So, mail and deploy will return a list of values from the value table. Let's create a preview for the user Amelia Craig. She will receive a single report for all the people she manages. At the bottom here, we are getting the values from the value table. Let's look at that element. We need to be careful here, as the query value table function returns a list, so we need to concatenate it with a comma. This line is what the current selections returns. In the expression element, we ask Qlik to give us all the valid sales reps. Now we can see that only Amalia and Amanda are returned from Qlik, but there are 6 sales reps in the value table. This is because we are also filtering the month and the year, and the other sales reps don't have data for that month and year, so they're not returned. When we preview for Amanda Honda, we can see that it's only her in all lines. Also, when we request the document as Amanda Honda, we can see that we don't have the option to choose a sales rep. This is because she only has access to her own report. The alerts are a bit trickier because the condition field expects real Qlik commands, so it may just be suited for people that have experience with Qlik. Here we can apply some extra filtering. And in the execution plan, we could set the alert. In the management console, we can also edit the alerts that users created, and we can create alerts for specific people who might not be familiar with Qlik. In this tutorial, we have learned how to use the Mail and Deploy Hub. From setting parameters to configuring user permissions, the hub simplifies the report sharing process without the need for Qlik licenses. Thank you for watching this advanced training.